during this present time, there's a huge gap in terms of communication when it comes between volunteers, individuals, and nonprofit organizations. There's not a means of a proper communication. The current method being used by volunteers to find a community service opportunity is really obsolete. They have to find a nonprofit organization, get in touch with them, ask them if they have any times available or any opportunities for community service, and then they have to see if they adapt to their schedule or to what they're looking for. The solution to this problem is FriendServe. FriendServe is a nonprofit online service marketplace that will provide this connection between nonprofits and volunteers. If a volunteer is looking for an opportunity to give back to the community, to perform community service, all they have to do is go on friendserve.co and look for an opportunity. Nonprofit organizations, they will be able to build a profile on FriendServe, post any event that they may have available during a certain time at their location. So a nonprofit will just get on FriendServe, sign up, build a profile, and then just create an event which will allow volunteers to sign up for an event. For example, a student organization, they have to fulfill several opportunities or several community service hours. And this is some feedback that we got from several student organizations during this weekend.
We look for community service. We've always been looking for a project that lasts a long time because we're not sure where we're going to find the next community service opportunity. So we want to establish that relationship. But I know there's a lot of opportunities out in Las Cruces, but there's no one to make that connection. It's just that connection part is what I see that there's nothing out there.
And this is what we heard from the student organizations. We got lucky this weekend. There was a large function going on campus. We got the opportunity to go out and talk to quite a few of them and see if this was a challenge, and every one of them basically backed this same belief. Now, the thing with what we're doing with FriendServe is actually two sides to it. We have the organizations that want to volunteer and the nonprofit organizations that need the volunteers. And so we wanted to get some validation from the nonprofit side as well, too. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to see.
Do you think if we had a service like what we were describing with the website that's kind of like the middleman between the nonprofits and the volunteers, do you think that that would be a beneficial thing to have?
Sure. Well, anytime you can connect volunteerism with volunteering opportunities, that's a great solution. So being able to do that online is very valuable.
Okay.
We also wanted to ask you, if you could use a service like this, do you believe the number of volunteers for your organization, in this case Goodwill, do you think those numbers would increase?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's from the CEO of Goodwill down in El Paso. And he gave us quite a bit of good validation. But so the nice thing about this is that the targets that we're looking at is initially is we like to focus on student organizations because those are the ones that are easily identifiable. And they need to be able to fulfill certain service requirements. And being able to team those up with other organizations such as the nonprofits, which are also our customers, because we have to save time and money on both sides of this. And the nonprofits today, it's a very costly, expensive process for them to go out and find volunteers. And so what we like to do is in the middle of this is where we put FriendServe. FriendServe is that connecting point. Now, the target markets we've identified. The beautiful thing about it is that some of our customers can also be our partners as well, such as Goodwill. We could use Goodwill actually as a point of presence for us to be able to distribute our application through their website if we're able to partner with them. And once again, this is a nonprofit, but we do want to look at ways of having revenue come in. So our revenue models, one, subscription fees, because since we are saving them money, there has some value for the organizations for this. As well as that, we've also identified some potential grant and other funding sources. There's a list right in front of you there. I'm sorry, it's not on that thing. It's right here. I only provided one. Sorry, guys. And there's just some potential list for grant potentials. And then sponsorships. The larger organizations could also sponsor and provide some funding to help keep this going, to help find their volunteers as well too. But we do have the ability to offer them some other services, especially the smaller organizations, such as being a web presence for them on our website. As well as also doing blogging for them and also accepting donations, and that could be for any organizational size, and we could just take a percentage of that donation and pass the rest on to the group itself. Now, what we'd like to do is the back end side of this expense-wise isn't great. We actually have a working, functioning demo, and what we'd like to do is we'd like to show that to everybody at this point. Even if you're on your phones, you can go to friendserve.co. It is live. We've got data. We built the site from scratch this weekend. that's what we have.
Quick question, just a suggestion also. When you do your market research, I'm going to go to everybody, and you're asking people if they would like this, you really have to ask them if they would pay for this.
Oh, absolutely.
And try to get a feel for where that value sits for them.
Right, and that was
A
that.
lot of people want things, and they love them.
Oh, no, absolutely. And so we actually had some very good discussions, both with the CEO of Goodwill and also the prior CEO of the Big Brothers Big Sisters group.
Okay.
And we talked to them about what they currently went through to do this and whether this would have some value they'd be willing to pay for. And we actually had an open invitation to go down to El Paso as soon as we're ready to launch this with Goodwill to talk to him about being able to pay for the solution.
The sales cycle for nonprofits is really quite long. Do you think that your main revenue stream is that?
Well, and that's the thing, is because initially with this, I mean, like I said, the solution's already built. What we're paying for right now is obviously free on the .co thing. And if we could work with a couple smaller organizations initially, or at least with Goodwill, maybe just out of El Paso or things like that, to build up the foundation behind it, to see what kind of numbers, because that's the thing, is it's hard to quantify these numbers. It takes more than a weekend to be able to quantify the data behind this. But sales cycle-wise, because they need volunteers, and the volunteer organizations are looking for them. Right now is probably not the best time to do it, because we're towards the end of the semesters and things like that, but come January, there's going to be, especially from the student side, a lot of people looking to find organizations to do this. But there's also, I mean, you've got the probation officers and things like that that also need to have people go out and do public service. And this is another thing that's open for them as well, too.
What do you think is the cost to, one, get a final product off the ground? And two is, what do you think it would cost to run this nonprofit,
Okay,
to be a going concern?
okay. So to be a going concern for the nonprofit as well, okay, let's talk about the back end piece of this. Like I said, we actually have our engineers, and I'd like them to stand up real quick. Well, Ben's all the way in the back there. I got reason. I got to stand up reason. You've seen it. This is no templates. They actually built this code from scratch this weekend. So there's nothing taken from anywhere on there. And so we're actually about 3 hours from being able to go completely live with all the functions we wanted to, right?
Oh yeah, the emails are, the code's pretty much there, it just isn't deployed
So
yet.
from a development perspective, we're actually pretty close to wanting to go with this. And this is, I mean, this is actually being hosted on AWS?
It's AWS now, yeah.
On AWS right now. So from a back-end perspective, it's pretty well loaded up. But ongoing concern, we've actually looked at it. So development, we probably need a little bit of development and some service reps as well as some marketing. So probably about 3 or 4 positions to get it kicked off. And so probably, I mean, we're looking at probably a yearly burn somewhere around, $200K.
I think this is a really great idea. Talking to Lewis on Friday, I know that he really believes in this, and it's great to hear. It's great to see the implementation. I wonder though, is there really nothing like this out there already?
Go ahead.
There's several websites, idealist.org or volunteermatch.org, and we did some research on those websites, and the only events we found were on volunteermatch.org, and they were for December. I'm pretty sure that there's over 90 nonprofits in just the Doña Ana County. I'm pretty sure that some of those organizations, they have at least one event going on from here to December, and it's not posted. It was from an organization out of El Paso with an event in Las Cruces. So there's not enough awareness of what's going on. There's not enough awareness from volunteers of all the many opportunities there are. Student organizations, they only have usually just one supplier for an off-campus opportunity. If something happens to that off-campus supplier for community service hours, what's going to happen to that organization? They won't be able to fulfill the ASMSU requirements.
So these existing organizations are struggling to retain these volunteer opportunities. Have you developed a strategy to acquire them?
We have their contact information, we have their numbers, and we have the contact person that we would like to get in touch with. The next step would be to get in touch with those organizations and make them aware of the product that we just developed, and how we wanted to use it, and how we want to help them be aware, because the help is out there. We live in the age of information, the age of knowledge, but we also live in a transitional age in which we, the people, we want to give back, we want to help out. It really feels good to go out there to help out the community towards no cost. cost. So we just wanna be that connection. We wanna connect and we want to serve. And that's our motive. We want to just connect and serve.
Do you want to brand FriendServe, or would you like to possibly white label this for like Goodwill to use for their?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,